go. We are back. I like it. I like my own stuff. Okay, I'm back. I am back, and we are continuing to watch the where's the Dylan video?
So
oh gosh. Well, where's the Dylan video? Did I turn it off by mistake? No, I didn't. Actually didn't. Where's the
editors? I wasn't.
Where's the Dylan? Thank you. Where's the Dylan debate? I lost it. I don't see the Dylan debate anymore. I don't know why. Well, I will fix it. I'm gonna fix this. Where is the debating the nationalist thing? Okay, I guess I have to add Trump. Have a good day. You're right. There you go. We're back.
For him to come saying, yes, I want this to happen or that to happen.
True. There you go.
Because ultimately it's going to be a decision between the two warring factions.
well,
So when, Carter. So Jimmy Carter did more. Jimmy Carter did more outside of his presidency that was good than he did within his presidency. He did a lot of good things towards pursuance of peace. And when he went to make deals, he went there as more of an impartial moderator, and he was very successful. And I think that's what Trump is.
Oh no. No.
Referencing to what he wants to do, what he plans to do. He wasn't very specific. I think we can both admit
Press X to doubt.
the 24 hours is ridiculous.
True.
But him not being
Many of his claims are.
100%, I want Ukraine to win, or I want Russia to win, or anything, that would just be stupid in the capacity in which he is trying to show.
Why would it be stupid?
And that's really why I took that as a bad take.
So there's two reasons why I think he's a feckless coward. The first
True.
reason I think he's a feckless coward is because he dodged a lot of the questions. And he was purposely dodging the questions. One of the and the moderator had to keep pushing in order to get the answers that we did get.
The moderator was a debate opponent and not a moderator.
But a lot of
won't you just go ahead and recognize that?
Well, it's hard for me, for example, if I'm being interviewed and I'm a politician on a major network and I say I was molested by Barack Obama on like major TV, like as a news person, you're gonna have to be like, that's not true, Dylan. You don't have any evidence for that. Do you have anything to prove that? And then, like, as a reporter, you have to ask those follow-up questions.
True.
And so when he didn't answer some of the questions, I feel like it was worthwhile for her to do follow-ups. But yeah, it got really spicy. There was definitely a back and forth. And it's very easy for it to get very combative when you're talking to Trump, because if you correct Trump will never accept a correction. Ever. No matter how wrong he was. But can I get to let me get to my point. One example where I think he was a feckless coward was like avoiding the war criminal question. Definitely when this isn't something that he's not even consistent on. a month into the war, he said Putin was guilty of genocide. He said the Russians were committing genocide in Ukraine a month into the war, which is a more powerful statement than even Biden had delivered technically at that point, right? And now, a year later, he can't even say that Putin's a war criminal after the ICC has issued a warrant for his arrest off of the kidnapping of Ukrainian children, which, if you were trying to make the case for genocide, which Trump made a month into the war, I mean, that is probably as on the nose as you could possibly be, as there's a lot of reports of these children being indoctrinated within Ukrainian, through Russian filtration camps before being deported to Russia, illegally under international law. So that was something that really angered me, because before he gave his opinion about them being a war criminal, when you know there was a lot of heat, the most support for Ukraine right after the invasion, but now that it's died down some and support for Ukraine's still high, but it's not as high as it was at the start. Now that it's died down, he's pulling back that rhetoric, and it feels like he's moving with the wind.
Right.
Well, so
Gone with the
the
wind.
reason why he shouldn't have said that Putin is a war criminal at this point is because of
Jesus.
the role that he is advocating to take. It is just one of those things.
What a cowardly stance.
Between two opposing factions.
That is just a cowardly stance. That is what makes him a coward. I agree with Dylan here, of course.
You want to be the moderator, you cannot show bias towards either of the sides. And
That's
that
stupid.
seems to
I'm
be
sorry.
What he's doing is tempering his message so he can facilitate that role at a later
Don't be
date if he was to
ridiculous.
win the election, which
Don't
So
be
he's
ridiculous.
not being
I
honest,
don't-
or he's not being truthful.
he's a
True.
He's not going to answer
He's
the
not,
question.
no politician is honest. Let's be honest. Let's be
But
real
that's
about
not that's not a good.
it. Okay,
that's not
every
a good
politician
answer,
is a
though.
liar.
That's not
no,
a good
that
answer.
is the answer.
Okay, if that is the answer,
How is
then,
that? How is
then
that?
anytime,
how is that not
okay,
the answer?
anytime you
Every
critique
politician is a
Joe or
liar.
Hillary Clinton, I can just say politicians lied is what it is. And you're like, okay then, and then we just move on. Like I don't have to accept responsibility for that when like a politician
So-
like lies or moves with the wind. Because before he was calling him a genocidal maniac. He was saying it was genocide, it was back, and now all of a sudden, so he's committing genocide, but it isn't a war crime? Like how does this like balance
True.
out? Because he's already said he's committing genocide, so it's not like he's at risk of sounding impartial. He sounded not impartial when he said he was committing genocide.
True.
You're right, but he could claim that he has changed his mind because has your mind ever
Come
been
on.
changed before, Dylan? It does happen.
That can't work. So you're going to say that he should reverse the position, saying actually there is no genocide, there is no war crimes, and so that
I'm
would
not advocating for him to do that at all.
but that he
So-
would have to do that to roll his opinion back.
But
Yeah.
that may be what he does. I honestly,
So
a lot of
should
things
he or
that Trump
shouldn't
has done recently, I don't fully support. But with Trump saying that he wants to moderate between the two factions, him
I
trying
don't
to
think
show
he's a good moderator.
is a smart move. That does not make him a coward. In fact, that's the bravest thing you can do right now in your hyper-polarized political world that we live in, is saying, you know what, bad things can be happening on both sides, and
Oh, get out of here.
I don't think it's brave to be honest about what was going on at the start of the war, but then later switch your opinion when the heat died down. That's what it feels like. The heat
I don't
died
know if
down.
he did it because of the political. I don't know if he's doing that because of polling sway or whatnot. I don't know.
It feels like at the start of the war, people
may
were
be.
worried because Trump was releasing statements like, you know, Putin's a smart guy, and people's like, Trump, why are you saying that? He just invaded Ukraine, he just did all this stuff, and he was like, look, it's genocide. To try to,
Well-
you know, hey, look, I'm not the Putin guy. I said he committed genocide. But now it's a few years late. You know, it's a year later. The heat's died down. It's not as controversial anymore to say you don't support Ukraine with aid or you don't want to be with them. And so now he's switched. He's moving with the wind.
Wow, how shocking that Trump would
temper
switch.
tantrum because he has lost the presidency. He was claiming that there is no way that Ukraine would have been invaded had he still been in office. So his rhetoric has changed because there is no way that he is getting back in the office, with the exception of being elected there now. He was advocating for different
It's like a
things at
him
that
problem.
time. Now he is changing his stance because now he's back in that political
So should
campaign
he
mode.
reverse the statement then? Because that's the only way the statement would be consistent.
If
with what
someone
he's
brings it up to
publicly
him,
saying.
I would like to see how he would actually react to that. Maybe journalists should actually pose that question to him, because bring him with his own quote and say, well, the other night you refused to answer this question. You have this previous statement. Maybe, just maybe, journalists should do their fucking job and do some research and actually press the question.
Okay, so do you think wait, are you in favor of like the debate style from the CNN moderator or not? Or like
no, that was a town hall that was there for the people. It should have been about the people instead of someone applying for Don Lemon's job or Chris Cuomo's old position is trying to score points. It should have been done at a actual moderator's stance, doing some fact checking in real time, but she was playing semantic fucking games, especially like with the wall thing. Oh, you didn't build anything but 58 new miles of wall, and completely disregarding the hundreds of miles of replacement.
Sparky's actually, oh, I see. Is this Sparky? Is that his person's name?
I don't think it was for no reason. I think that a lot of the things Trump say are not true, and so it feels like there's a journalistic responsibility to be like, hey, what you said isn't true.
What she was doing was not journalism. In fact, what she was doing last night was debate broing. She was
okay. Okay, thanks for that, Sir Vane. Thanks for that info.
Last night her poll numbers for running for president did not go up.
Why were you so unwilling to like accept that, oh, well, Trump did that to like flow with the wind, because, you know, public opinion has somewhat changed, and so he's kind of flipping with public opinion, whatever benefits him most. You can't assume that about Trump. You can't assume his intent there because you don't know his intent, but you are willing to assume her intent for why she was doing it, not because she genuinely cared about pressuring a politician and holding them to account, but because she's greedy for her job.
Well, it's the only thing that makes sense to me, and I could be wrong, I can admit that, but when she is there as a moderator, she did not do the job of a moderator. When you ran the hippy dippy, even though you do have your own biases, you did your best to appear unbiased to the audience. Okay, you were trying to do your job as a moderator properly.
Well, yeah, but there's different types of. I think that she definitely. It wasn't just like a normal moderation.
She wasn't doing a professional job.
But also,
she was not doing a professional job. And
there's a difference between me bringing somebody on just to hear their opinions and somebody running for public office and trying to hold politicians to account. For example,
last night she was running for office and did not go up in the polls.
As far as
oh God.
But
I know.
Sparky, what a name.
It sounded like she was running for office.
But if somebody's running for public office and says something untrue on stage, and you're a journalist there, and you know they said something untrue on stage, do you not have a responsibility to comment on that? Be like, data shows that what you just said is completely not true.
So there is one thing between correcting him and saying, no, this is actually fact check false, and then playing little bitchy semantic games like she was doing last night.
A lot of it was not semantic games. Definitely when it comes to like
I see.
Of the election.
Total buff. Okay. Thank you for the info on this person.
All she had to say is, well, that's your opinion. That doesn't pan out that way. She even said that Trump lost X amount of 60 plus court cases.
Ex-military.
58 of them were just denied on standing, had nothing to do with the actual weight of the case or anything like that.
They were rejected. A lot of them were rejected because there was no case to be held.
They were rejected based on standing. They didn't even hear the arguments.
There was no argument to be held.
That is a game. That is not a loss.
I don't know.
That is not a loss.
We're getting off track. We're getting off.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's the semantic games that she was playing, and she was more of a debate opponent than she was a moderator. She could have said, "Look, you lost these 6 cases or whatever it was, that were actually heard. The rest of them were."
One of the few that Dylan still talks to. We'll see how long that lasts.
She could have given actual context
after this debate.
Playing semantic. Well, you lost 60 plus deals. You actually only built 58 miles of new wall. Disregard the hundreds of miles of wall that was replaced. She was playing stupid semantic games. She was running for president without being an actual candidate, and her poll numbers did not.
Rob Noor was worse. You're right. Even I remember Rob Noor.
He did not.
You are correct. He was worse.
On one side of the.
You're right about that.
He actually stated that he wanted to do that.
Yes.
He was not able to do that because the president does not have the power to do that on their own.
So why is it bad for
that.
her to bring that up? That he made a promise that he couldn't even ever deliver.
Because
Right.
it's not all she has to do is give the proper context. She could say, "Look, you stated this. This is what actually happened." That
Rob North, the bar is on the floor. True. Hello, the problem.
the only reason why the
I'm not sure I've seen you on the stream before. I'm not sure I recognize your name, but please join the page. We're doing a really long stream today. It's been like over 12 hours now. I've reset the stream to be sure that the video will be saved, but we have been streaming for over 12 hours now.
see
For
the
who?
only reason why CNN hosted that is because
Oh, thank you. Thank you for lurking.
for the DNC. That's the way it looked like last.
What do you think of the
Went
streams?
there as a professional and acted as a professional moderator. She could have accurately fact checked them without doing the semantic games, and she would have come out looking brilliant.
Look,
But instead, she looked like a failed opponent.
I don't know the intention of behind her. I do feel like Trump gave
True.
sound bites that we could.
That he is doing, yeah.
In fact, they were. Joe Biden immediately started using the things he said and started and
true.
attack ads on Twitter. I saw the videos he was posting about like he was like the things he was saying about the like January 6th protesters next to the footage of all the violence, like immediately afterwards. Let's get back to the Ukraine topic. I also the 24-hour thing that really gets under my skin.
It's ridiculous.
Because this goes against what Trump himself has said is like his standard and how he wants to do diplomacy. When people would ask him what kind of deals does he want to do with the Taliban, or what kind of deals he wants to do here, or what types of things he wants to do internationally, what strategies he wants to use, he would say, I'm not telling you my strategies. I'm not going to give the enemies or the opponents. I'm not going to tell them in advance. And when you say 24 hours, all that said, the message that sends to Putin is that if Trump gets elected and he can just wait a day or two, maybe a week, then all he has to do is wait it out and he's going to get everything he wants. He's going to get Crimea. He's going to get Kherson. He's going to get Zaporozhye. He's going to get everything he wants. Donetsk, Luhansk, everything. And we already know from previous statements Trump has made on Sean Hannity's program that he's perfectly willing to give Ukrainian territory to the Russians, not only in the scenario right now where the war is happening. He said that this war wouldn't be happening. He keeps making this claim that this war wouldn't be happening with him. One of his proposals that would have been to stop the war, and he revealed this on Sean Hannity's program, would be giving more territory to the Russians.
Oh my God. Trump is the worst.
It feels like concession bait. It feels like a perfect environment to abandon Ukraine and let the Russians dominate it.
So we had a conversation about this.
Truly one of the worst hippy-dippy guests.
I basically stated that the only thing that makes sense is that they're trying to build a logistical land bridge between Russia and Crimea. Okay, as it stands right now, even though Ukraine is getting land back, getting some of the land back that was initially taken, that has already been accomplished. Now, some people will say that the attack on Kiev was a feint. Some people will say, that was a failed invasion deal.
Did we talk about that last time?
Yeah, we talked about it, and I think it was possibly a feint.
I think it was a failed. I think it was a failed
For
attempt,
all intents and purposes,
not a feint.
achieved what they wanted. And yes, Trump doesn't care if Ukraine cedes that land because it's not America's stand. He doesn't care about it. He doesn't care about Russia. All he wants is America not involved. No, he doesn't care about who gets what.
So weak.
And I think that's reasonable.
No, it's not.
You
No.
don't have to be pro Russia or pro Ukraine. You could just be anti-U.S. involvement, and I think that's what ultimately.
Oh, that is so stupid. Oh God.
And his statement,
Isolationism fail. Oh
he
God.
just said he wants the killings to end. I think that was actually a good statement. Now, do I agree with everything he said about it last night? Hell no. But I think ultimately it was a good statement. It was basically him saying in his own way that America doesn't belong in this war. We want it ended. We don't, we want less people to die. We want to sue for peace, whatever that looks like. The quickest
So
way to get
weak.
peace is the best way.
Disband NATO. Oh, get out of here.
I know you don't share that point of view, Dylan, and that's completely fine. But coming from a foreign policy stance, if you want to moderate, you don't want the judge to be biased against you. Period. Okay, you want an unbiased, and that's what he's trying to appear as.
So when it comes to the Russians' goals, the Russians' original goal was to destroy the government in Ukraine, was to replace it with probably either Yanukovych or some other stooge that would work for them and serve Russian interests.
Did they come out and say that?
These people should die. Damn shame Russia keeps killing people. True.
They released like a 5-point plan when everything started to fall apart. They were marching on Kiev for this region. This is part of the reason why the American government offered Zelensky a ride out of the country. It was because they knew that the Russians were making a beeline for Kiev. It's part of the reason why they did the 40-mile convoy. Is they would only do something like that as if they were really trying to take the capital, or they just wanted to get all their guys killed in ambushes and Bayraktar strikes and everything else.
40-mile convoy is stupid. It's
very stupid. The VDB landings at Hostomel seem to indicate that as well. And
I even told you the way they did that was even wrong.
People like Sparky say America is the strongest and most badass. And he advocates acting like a total win. True.
Later they released their 5 points, and their 5 points was the denazification of Ukraine, which I think since they're using neo-Nazi militias to invade Ukraine, like Rusich, it's hard for me to really take that very seriously. I guess you can maybe interpret that as a change of government as well, but that seems to be a propaganda point. But the rest of them, when it comes to the demilitarization of Ukraine, they haven't succeeded in that. They failed. Ukraine's probably more militarized than ever. When it comes to the capturing of the rest of the Donbass, they failed when it comes to that. When it comes to keeping Ukraine neutral, they failed when it comes to that. If anything, they're more pro-NATO as ever. The majority of Ukrainians, for the first time ever, support NATO membership. When it comes to the expansion of NATO, they failed. Not only did they fail, they failed spectacularly. NATO's border.
We're gonna watch a cutscene. That is what we do on the stream. We watch cutscenes. Wait. Why isn't there... There we go.
Affecting the refinery at Grimbatal. Cho'Gall and his convoy will be traveling through the Badlands of Cosmodan, and an ambush by Strong God warriors is expected.
Damn.
War Chief expects you to safeguard Cho'Gall and his minions through this region. Should he die, your life will be forfeit as well.
As well. True. Should he die, my life will be forfeit as well. True, true, true. That is so true. Cho'Gall.
With Russia has doubled by Finland joining, and Sweden most likely will be joining sometime in the future.
Joining. Join me.
Their own stated war goals, they failed or failed to achieve them on every level. The one thing they have been able to garner from this war is the land bridge.
That is my favorite skill by the orcs, by the way.
How long? Who knows, depending on the Ukrainian counteroffensive, which many people speculate could be in the Zaporozhye Oblast. That's where most analysts are saying it's going to be, which would be probably directed towards taking Metropole and trying to, destroy that land bridge. I don't think that when Trump is saying these, making these proposals and making these statements, and in advertising themselves as an impartial moderator, that this is giving Ukraine any more leverage. I think it's removing leverage. When he's asked, do you want to send any more aid? Would you stop the aid? And he doesn't answer the question and dodges it. It's interpreted as he doesn't want to send any more aid.
True.
When he says he wants to negotiate it closed in 24 hours, it removes even more leverage from the Ukrainians in one of these scenarios. It's removing all of the leverage by taking us out of the scenario, making us the quote unquote impartial moderator. It puts Ukraine in a much, much, much weaker position.
True.
And it's going to be much easier for the Russians to just say, we're going to wait it out. And if you look at Russian actions, what they're doing on the ground when it comes to the extrajudicial killings, the arresting of civic society leaders, the imposition of Russian passports on people, or you will be deported if you do not accept a Russian passport. All these activities and all of these oblasts seem to mean permanent occupation. That seems to be the goal. So my question is, what the fuck is there to negotiate if the Russians aren't going to give up any of the land they're occupying? The only option seems to be to push them back until either a point where the Russians break and they want to concede that territory that they've taken, or they are physically forced out of Ukraine, considering the type of activities they're engaged in. And we can't achieve that if Trump is acting as an impartial moderator, which the majority of Americans don't even want.
True.
Okay, so
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants Trump, period.
full terms for Ukraine.
Like personally,
Yeah.
Russians leave.
True. Good.
So does that include Crimea?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so that's unacceptable.
Well, no, to
I'll tell you
Russia,
that right now.
whether the
Russia's
Russians
not
accept
gonna-
that. No.
That's not going to happen.
Russia's not going to accept that right now. We don't know whether that's going to happen or not. That could happen
True.
depending on how it plays out on the battlefield. Whether the
So
Russians
you
accept
want
it in negotiations.
2014. You want pre-2014.
Yes, that should be our goal.
Okay.
That should be our
True.
starting point.
So,
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll tell you, Russia will not accept that. You know, Russia wouldn't even accept that.
Currently, right now, I don't think they would. That's why we need to change the situation on the ground.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would accept that. Period. It's been part of the Russian. It's been part of Russia since 2014. I mean, before
So
the
has
Trump
Donetsk.
administration.
So it's since has parts of Donetsk and Luhansk.
So if you wanted to say pre-invasion, 2021 invasion borders, 2022 invasion borders, they would probably be more amicable to accept that than they would pre-2014 invasion. It's just that is
Sounds like a
from
skill
the Russian
issue.
perspective, that would just be ridiculous. They wouldn't accept that, and you
Damn.
know that they wouldn't accept that. So
If only we cared. If only we cared about the Russian
the
perspective.
reality of the situation is, if Europe said, if America and Europe said, you know what, we want this to end, Zelensky, you either show up to the deals or no more aid. We'll cut you the fuck off and we'll just let Russia roll over you, because that's what'll happen
We don't know
if we
that.
cut
That's
off
not
all
true.
aid. If they cut off all aid, the only reason why this war has gone on is been because of Western interference, Western aid. The people of Ukraine has stood up and they have fought, but without the equipment to fight, they can't fight. And that's what's keeping them alive right now. Western aid is helping them, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that. The fighting spirit of Ukraine has been strong. Good on them, man. I'm happy to
Cringe.
see how well they have held on. But all at the same time, the reality of it is, if it wasn't for the deliverance of HIMARS, if it wasn't for the constant bombs and artillery shells and everything else that has been handed over to Ukraine so they can continue to fight, they already depleted their own stocks of ammunitions and stuff. They are now depending on imported munitions. They're now depending on imported equipment. They have, I mean, they say, oh, well, there's only 14 special operations operatives in Ukraine right now from the U.S. Those 14 happen to be Green Berets. You know what the mission of the Green Berets are?
Sometimes it's training, but we don't know exactly what they're engaged in.
But majority of what they're
True.
doing is training,
Very condescending.
people how to fight, teaching them how to do counterinsurgency.
We don't
and
know
things
what
like
those
that.
people are engaged in, and we also know that we were told this very early in the war that we had deployed special operators to protect embassy staff. And so I don't know if they're being deployed to train people or if these are the guys that were deployed to protect embassy staff. We don't know really, but it could be either or. Who knows?
We don't know fully, but when they say special operations, and in a situation like this, it's more than likely going to be Green Berets. If they are for embassy security, it's usually the Marines that do that, and not special operators. It'll be standard trained Marines, not your Raiders or your Force Recon. The Green Berets are what makes the most sense, to be honest. And they have also announced that they are tracking some of the shipments that are coming in of the munitions and showing where they go. You know, that way the American people know that the Ukrainian fighting men and women are actually getting the materials that are being sent to them with the intended purpose of what they're being sent for. So they could be doing that as well. But I'm almost certain that yes, we have soldiers training Ukrainian fighting people to make sure that they are getting the
even if we're
the
not
best
training them in
fight
Ukraine, we
possibly
already know
can.
we're training them in the States, and we already know that they're being trained in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. So, but
So what?
the war probably would not be going as well as it is if it wasn't for Western support that they've been currently receiving. So yes, it would be quite easily said that if someone came and said, "You're going to go to the peace tables, and we're going to work something out," and Zelensky says, "I don't want to do that," and they say, "Cool, nice knowing you. Good luck, best of luck." That would severely weaken their stance. That would severely.
Thank God people like that are not in charge. I can tell you that. Thank God idiots like this are not in charge. I'm just gonna tell you that.
America no longer back in Ukraine, weaken Ukraine stance, yes.
Okay. And if the group that happens to be paying the vast majority of all military aid and equipment to Ukraine pulls the fuck out, and they look over at their European cousins and say, "Hey, by the way, we've paid all this money, get on our level," or "We're done with you," they're probably going to go, "Yes, Zelensky, you need to go to the table as well." Okay, it's because
blackmail.
It depends on who it's going to be. Like the Poles are going to have a much different perspective than Emmanuel Macron.
True.
Yes. But I will.
True. I'm gonna tell you this. Like even the far right Polish government, Poland would probably keep supporting Ukraine no matter what. I can tell you this much. This is interesting that Dylan has actually verbalized what I've been thinking. Poland would probably just keep supporting Ukraine either way. I'm pretty sure that Poland is in the first 10 countries when it comes to supporting Ukraine. Support to Ukraine by country. How to check by country? It's not big help because we're like, Poland is not exactly a country with super capabilities, but government support to Ukraine by donor country. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Poland. You know? Yeah, Poland is pretty high up there. You know? Poland is actually pretty
for him to come say
high up there. Where's the
tell you the Poles are more apt to defend themselves than the French are. And France has one of the biggest militaries in the world, but they're also surrender monkeys who raise a flag every time anyone looks at them funny.
I mean, is that like a serious statement or just a meme? I assume it's just a meme, yeah?
No, well, it's a little bit of both, because that's what the U.S. military views the French fighting forces as, the only ones that we actually tend to respect are the Foreign Legion, and that's because there's no Frenchmen in it.
The French, I mean, as much as I like to bully the French, like that's mostly just a meme derived from World War II.
True.
The French,
Yeah.
I mean, World War I would be an example of where the French were literally like killing their own mutineers rather than surrendering to the Germans. The Napoleonic Wars would be another example of the French.
Napoleonic Wars don't even count because it's not modern warfare. Look at how quickly
what?
they ran away in Vietnam.
Yeah, it is silly.
Modern warfare and industrialized warfare.
What about Algeria?
Algeria, yeah, they did okay, but a lot of that was done by the Foreign Legion.
Yeah, that's
the French Foreign Legion are fucking scary, dude. Those guys are awesome.
This person's an idiot. Why?
Done a little bit of work with them.
I think we're
French
getting
military,
off track.
not so.
I'm sorry. Why does Dylan talk to this person? Why?
In all reality, okay.
Why is Dylan talking to this person?
And they said, "You got it, Europe." That's Germany, UK, France, Poland. Poland is more capable of defending themselves than the Germans. The Germans are another 10 years away until they are even considered an effective fighting force capable of defending themselves.
Jesus.
The report came out last year stating that. So now they're 9 years away of being able to actually handle their own defenses because they rely solely on NATO, which is mostly funded by the UK and America. America being the top funder, UK being the second.
Jesus.
Okay.
When you look at France could probably defend themselves pretty well.
Okay.
This person is sucking off Poland so hard.
Depends on America.
It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing
because they sure as fuck won't do it themselves because they're too busy paying for all these other programs for their citizens, which is great for their citizens, but it's bad for the American people. Trump's biggest complaint was that
is so embarrassing. What this guy thinks French military history was like. Let me see the link. Like, this is so embarrassing to suck off Poland so hard. Oh, God. Okay, this is...
Take that, Frenchies!
Oh, God.
Sacre bleu! We are, how you say, finished!
Oui, monsieur. May I have another?
May I have another, huh? Oh my God. I showed it. Wait, I showed it. Yeah, I showed it. What do you mean? I showed it. I showed it just now.
Their quote unquote fair share. He actually worked on that, and many of the nations were working on paying their back money. He come with the same argument last night, and he said 170 billion. I think it's what 167 billion total in aid that America has sent to Ukraine since the start of the war.
No, but yeah, whatever.
I don't know what the exact number is, but
we've sent about 38 billion in military aid, roughly.
No,
but when it comes to like other types of aid, no, it isn't. But when it comes to other types of aid, I think it might get closer to 100 billion. But a lot of the ways people are counting aid is very, very. I'm trying to think of another word than autismo. Like, for example, they're counting supplements. They're counting the replacements we then purchase for our own military that we were going to purchase anyway. Definitely when it comes to the Vietnam era equipment that we're handing over to Ukrainians, we're counting that as aid, even though we're not even handing that over to the Ukrainians. We're counting aid that we haven't even given the Ukrainians yet, even though we announced we were going to give it to them 6 months ago. We're counting the
True, that's great.
Even though it's 60, 70-year-old equipment, we're counting it as the price it was when we originally manufactured it, not as the price it is now, even though the value of that equipment has gone down drastically due to the fact it's no longer...
Didn't expect this person to suck Poland off so hard, by the way.
A lot of the ways people count this aid is very dishonest.
Well, so so I know, like with the Bradleys, they're sending Desert Storm era, which is, those are about 30-year-old weapons platforms, but they are being updated with new night vision and some new thermal stuff before it's being sent over there. They're bringing them up to post post Desert Storm era, early 2000s technology, not
I
armor,
see.
because the Bradley's paper thin.
That explains a lot.
We're talking about bringing, what was it? Is it two? Was it two companies?
It's honestly
Bradley's,
embarrassing.
not Bradley's, of Abrams, that they were talking about sending.
It's embarrassing.
That's
31.
supposed to be coming. 31 tanks.
31.
So that's like two companies worth. That's of tanks, and that will. That's supposed to be coming. I believe August is the projected first.
It's a very rough estimate. It's gonna take a lot of time to train them. I don't know how exactly when, but they don't have it yet.
Yeah, I believe the last projection I saw was August. And I mean, look, it is cool that America is helping, I guess.
You guess.
I mean, I've basically talked about how I would rather us stay out of it. It's not our problem.
There you go. Another idiot that basically says,
are bothered by this.
not our problem.
You know, okay, we should help out our NATO allies. I have no problem with that.
Another isolationist idiot. Another one for the count. Great. Amazing.
We've promised all this aid, and look, my only argument with you.
Hello. I returned from cryostasis. Hello.
Your take on his stance on Ukraine was bad simply because of what he was suggesting.
Hello, City Forge. You can see me on my new camera. It is true. It is true. You can see me now. Playing Warcraft 2.
What is being created, which is a very strong alliance with the Ukrainian people, which would benefit the United States in the long run, as the transatlantic alliance has been something that has not only built American security, but also American prosperity. And I think expanding that and continuing to invest in that project is a fantastic investment for the United States. And that's outside of the moral reasons of fighting against a war of cultural and national annihilation.
True.
As the Russians have said right at the outset, that they don't really even believe Ukraine has a right to exist as a state.
And recently, Russia has also said that Poland would not exist as a state if it wasn't for Russia, and then that it's time for Poland to give up land from World War II. There we go. Interesting, huh? We're gonna finish the level now and watch a cutscene.
Right away, yes. What? We did it. We're not brainless anymore. I've got the brain, Yes, Master, of course.
It's over, right? Wait, where is the... Oh. The game was slow to say that I won. Slasher, no longer a slave. Now I'm a slasher.
Shogal reports that the Cosmodan
Wow.
are well maintained and fulfilling their quotas.
Nice.
Will now have more than enough oil to mount a fierce campaign in the lands far to the north. Only the troublesome human defenders of
Wasps.
to be dealt with before sending the horde on its next.
That is not nice.
The human fleet has captured a group of our transports just south of Stromgard. Recapture these vessels and then lay waste to
Oh no. Keep in mind, Sparky is the least vicious of these weirdos. Gosh. Oh god. What is the objective again? Oh wait. Okay. We're muting the game again and we're returning to the debate. Oh, in Simpsons. Okay.
Almost understand that, because
I haven't played that ever.
Ukraine is in fact Russian, because the founding of the Rus Empire was Kiev.
Well, that was because of a scholar. I don't want to get to it. I don't want to get into the ancient history.
Wait, hold on.
Well, that would
because understand that because well, from the Russian perspective, I can almost understand that because they believe Ukraine is in fact Russian, because the founding of the Rus Empire was Kiev.
Well, that would
Kiev, not Moscow. Okay, if anything, it's Russia that's Ukrainian, not Ukrainian that's Russian. Okay, if anything, it's the other way around. If you really want to go that route, then Ukraine is actually more Russian than Russia itself, and actually it's Russia that should be incorporated into Ukraine. If you really want to go into the Kiev-Rush argument.
That was because of a scholar. I don't want to get to it. I don't want to get into the ancient history.
But if they believe that, then they believe there is no Ukrainian identity.
The Germans believe.
Well,
guess what? If they believe that, there's also no Russian identity, because did you not know that Rus existed within the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, not Russia, actual Rus? Did you not know that? And that's not ancient history. It's called Ruthwania, by the way, in English. You don't say Rus in English, you say Ruthwania. Okay? And the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth actually wanted to create a Commonwealth of the three nations, Poland, Lithuania, and Ruthwania, which Ruthwania translates into Rus in Polish. So no, if what they believe is true, which actually, then, yeah, Ukraine is actually the bigger successor to the Kiev Rus, and it out Russia's Russia. So whatever on that front, it's an empty point. Really ridiculous. So I'm gonna go to the toilet real quick, and then we're gonna continue. Like the whole Rus thing, like the person is just uneducated on that, so it's like whatever. No, I'm not even surprised Dylan doesn't even want to go into that, because that person is totally incorrect on that. I'm gonna be back. Welcome back, fake Alec Kyle Parker. You should join the page. Okay, you should hop onto the page. That's one. Okay, don't spoil Maybe we'll play it on stream. There's so many games, Gigglers. There's so many games. Why did you say that to the pharmacist? That's mean. What did the pharmacist do? What did the poor pharmacist do to you? To deserve such
people that
Yeah,
deserve,
yeah,
like
yeah. I'm not
the
saying it's
national narratives can be,
legitimate.
yeah,
I'm
like the
saying
Turks
that's their
believe
point of
Kurds were
view.
mountain Turks. They're not really Kurdish.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like crazy narratives that nations believe that are unbelievably fascistic or racist or bigoted
yeah.
or
I'm
imperialistic.
not
Like they
legitimizing
have a
it.
colonial mindset when it comes to Ukraine.
Yeah. I'm not legitimizing. I'm just saying I understand their point of view. I can understand their point
That's
of view. I don't have
stupid.
to agree with it. Okay. Just like the Ukrainians say, hey, we have a right to exist. Okay, well, you haven't until the fall of the Soviet Empire. You did not exist.
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
Really?
That's
They had
stupid.
multiple
I
states
mean-
before. They had like at the end of World War One, they had a state which
Yeah.
was invaded by the Soviet Union. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
the USSR even acknowledged to some extent that the Ukrainians existed, or they wouldn't have made
Well, yeah,
the Ukrainian
yeah.
Soviet Socialist Republic, which included Crimea. Something, by the
Yes.
way, that Vladimir Putin said in 2008 was a settled issue, that there's no ethnic conflict in Ukraine. He said that in a 2008 interview after he invaded Georgia and everybody was scared of him. But since then, of course, he's changed his position because you move with the wind when it's politically convenient.
Well, it's also, I think a lot of that was based on a need for a warm water port.
They already have a warm water port. They don't need one in Crimea as well. They already have another one.
It has.
There was one with a deeper
It
channel.
has existed for hundreds of years in some form. Yes, it has.
Another one
strategic
with, like,
reason for
they
it.
need another one.
It existed for many. Of course, it was not a form of a nation state, but the same can be said about Poland. The same can be said about Lithuania. So Ukraine existed for many hundreds of years, just as Poland did, just as Lithuania did, sort of just as Belarus did, although Ukraine and Belarus existed in a more unified form, I guess you could say. And of course, Poland, Ukraine, Lithuania, and Belarus existed within a single country called the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. I would just remind you that Poland and Ukraine have been a single country for longer than Ukraine has ever been a part of Russia. I would just like you to remember that, okay? Whenever Russia says that Ukraine is historically Russian, Poland and Ukraine have formed a single country for much longer than Ukraine has been a part of Russia, okay? It is just your opinion that you deserve to exist, bro. True.
Good palm trees for good.
Let me Google that in English. How long Ukraine been a part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth? The 14th century. It's like 400 years, give or take. 400 years of forming a single country together, give or take. Okay? That is longer than Ukraine has ever been a part of Russia. I'll tell you that.
Like shading as well.
So
Maybe a
part
third
of
one,
it,
fourth one. Fifth one.
So
Actually, when did Russia even start being Russia? That's if we're being technical. When did Russia start to being called Russia? Well, the oldest endonyms were Russia, or Russia appeared in the 15th century and became common hereafter. Okay, I will assume the 15th century, which means that Ukraine had been a part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth together with Poland before Russia was even Russia.
part of
So there you go.
part of the invasion that the lands that have been taken
Ridiculous.
over towards the Sea of Azov, the one of the shipyards that are there is one of the few shipyards that can handle their Admiral Krasnikov or whatever their aircraft carrier. It's the only one that can handle that within the Russian sphere of influence, and Ukraine was actually repairing it in their shipyard for the Russians. And I think honestly, he wanted to take that to not have to pay that bill. There's probably a lot of it. I don't have to make sense of it. I don't even have to agree with it.
Yeah, there's strategic. There's reasons why Russia did this. I don't think they're good reasons, but yes, I acknowledge that Russia did this for reasons. Yes.
So the way I look at it is trying to figure out, okay, if we want peace, which I think you want peace in Ukraine.
I want peace and victory.
Okay, well,
because I don't, because here's the problem I have, especially with the Trumpian view of this, is I do not think if we were to get the Trumpian deal that we would have peace in Ukraine. Number one, Zelensky could never, ever, ever accept giving up Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporozhye, Kherson, and Crimea.
Nor should he, by the way.
The Ukrainian people would consider him a feckless coward, and the Ukrainian people have.
He would be. He would be one, by the way.
People wanted. You're now gone. Goodbye. We saw that with Yanukovych, and I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't do the same thing again to Zelensky. From my personal conversation with Ukrainian,
and you know what? They would be. It would be the correct thing to do. It would be the correct thing to do. Peace only exists in victory. True.
Time and time again, that he shouldn't get too comfortable because we're perfectly willing to do the same thing again. He's popular right now, but the reason he's popular is because he standing up for Ukrainian national sovereignty. So if he gets rid of that national sovereignty, then he's getting rid of the one reason why he is so overwhelmingly popular right now. So Zelensky, politically, in interpretation of his own people, even if America said they were going to pull out all of his support, there's just no way he could sign a deal that signs away all that territory. That's the first thing. So I don't think that us pulling out would get peace. I just think it would be easier for the Russians to commit cultural annihilation by us pulling out. Second thing, let's say that somehow they do negotiate a plan. All this is going to do is kick the can down the road to another generation of people 10 to 15 to 20 years from now. And instead of talking about the 2014 invasion and the 2022 invasion, it's going to be 2014, 2022, 2030, 2035. And we're just adding more and more layers to this conflict. So we're going to have the same issue down the road for another generation of Ukrainians, another generation of Europeans, and the United States once again. We should deal with the problem now.
True.
I agree with
you,
Dylan. I think that some
Zelensky would rather react the trailer from servant of the people of Russian soldiers than surrender. True.
Acceptable terms should be found for both groups to where
I personally like Zelensky.
I don't know if that's so. With you saying that, then there's only a couple of legitimate outcomes.
Very likable president.
Mindset, Dylan. And one of them is outsiders are going to go outside and go mind their own business and allow whatever's going to happen to happen. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the people are looking at here in America, we're looking at our infrastructure crumbling, and we're sending
Oh
billions
God.
upon billions overseas.
Once again, the talking point, the NPC talking point.
And the way
Congress
it
voted
is,
on
it
the
is-
Lend-Lease Act.
Yes,
Congress also
they-
votes on a lot of this aid, and a lot of the aid
So,
that the Congress
are they
doesn't
using
vote
the
on.
More talking points.
Did they do a new one?
It's like a new version, but it's the same principle.
Okay.
They
So-
like
Russia should get nothing.
this is the
True.
thing I don't like, because if people say, "Oh, this wasn't properly done," we all know. For number one, it was. But let's say that it wasn't. We all know that if there was a vote in Congress tomorrow on whether we should keep sending aid to Ukraine, it would overwhelmingly win.
So, if we had a vote, okay, but
We
there's
did
a
have
lot of
votes.
people. Well, we
We had
elected
votes on the
our- we-
Lend-Lease Act, and for a lot of this aid, it has to be voted on in separate bills. Whether it wasn't
So-
appropriated in the official like budget that we do like every few years to budget the economy, that we're doing separate bills separate from that to
Well,
give aid,
so
and
it's
that's what
supposed
we're
be
gonna have to
budgeted
do.
every year. It's supposed to be budgeted every year, and
For a ref in the trailer for seven of the people of open fire in the Ukrainian parliament for voting against his ideas
which was not
to
previously
help the people
budgeted
of
for.
Ukraine.
This is money that has been basically printed out of the ether.
True.
We're basically borrowing against.
More equipment should be sent.
My
That is my
generation,
opinion.
We're not, we've only got another 20, 30 years in this world or so. But your generation, the generation following you, we're spending money that we haven't even earned
Cringe.
yet.
How old is this? Wait, hold on. Did he say my generation only has 20 years to live? Is this guy like 60, 50? How old is this? Wait,
Money that we haven't even earned yet.
how old is this guy? 50 and is he in his 60s?
And this is America's problem altogether.
How old are you?
I have no problem helping other countries, but we got to help ourselves first. And this is what Trump was kind of pushing towards.
How old are you?
Europe. This is a European problem. The Ukraine war. Europe is not paying their fair share.
It's not that simple.
No, it isn't that simple. But you know what? We could break that down to a soundbite. We can easily say Europe is not paying their fair share, and therefore this is not America's war to be a part of. This is a proxy war, as far as I see it.
I don't like
And as
that
far as
term.
many
It's
Americans-
condescending.
I know you don't.
Very
It is.
condescending.
But the way
I see.
Americans see it, they don't care.
That's
about
even more
how
stupid.
Ukrainians feel. What they care about.
That's even worse.
And a lot of Americans are sitting there saying this is a proxy war. This is no different than Afghanistan in the 80s. And hey,
So Poland is, I think, giving a lot of aid actually, considering Poland's capability. So it really depends on the country, right?
that work out?
That's not really
Okay.
smart. Well, actually, the Soviet Union went away. It collapsed. We won the Cold War.
The Soviet Union went away, and then 9/11 happened because the people we trained to fight the Soviets decided to fight us later. And there's actually a pattern that you can follow with America's helping.
So do you
and,
think so? We're gonna have like Azov bombing New York City? How's that gonna work?
I actually don't believe that's going to happen. But
So then why
You
even
can
bring up the
actually make those-
comparison?
so you can make those arguments, though. Those arguments can go. Look,
So
look
you
at the
don't think
pattern.
it's gonna happen?
But you can make those arguments. Okay.
Oh yeah,
That's
you can make that argument.
So
That
don't
argument could
cynically
be
make the
legitimately-
argument.
that's just stupid. I'm sorry.
Try to argue in good faith.
forward as
I
it
do my
is.
best not
But
to,
I'm not-
to not argue points that I
I'm
don't
not-
actually believe.
True.
I'm not arguing the point. I'm saying it can be argued. I'm saying
Oh, this is so.
that argument. I've already seen it. I think it's a dumb argument. Just like your take on Twitter was bad. That's all I'm saying. I could sit there and say, hey, I think this is a bad take. I think it's interesting.
Ridiculous.
You basically are saying, well, you either get peace and complete Ukrainian victory or nothing
That's
else
right.
is acceptable.
True.
I'll tell you what is acceptable.
That is true. Yeah.
Whenever the United States people finally look around and they realize that their homeland is crumbling because the infrastructure is not being taken care of. And all this money is being sent to fight a war that has nothing to do with us. So we make the Europeans feel better. Europeans are
Nothing
not
to do
paying
with us isn't
their
true.
fair share, not paying their fair share.
Europe is not a single country. Different countries give
I don't know what
different aid. What do you mean by Europeans?
Well, Israel, who cares?
No, I didn't say.
Stop.
Wait, I didn't say. When did I say
thought-
Israel?
I thought that's what I heard.
No,
Well,
I
you
said that
heard-
isn't true. I was
Israel.
disagreeing with you.
Okay,
I do think it's our
there's
business.
a lot of Americans.
We have treaties
There-
that we signed,
No, we
agreements that
don't.
we
have
signed.
agreements.
We
do
made-
not have any,
okay,
any
so to
treaties
be
in
clear,
that sense.
but an agreement, if we sign an agreement saying we will come assist somebody, the Budapest
What
Memorandum,
is a
if
treaty?
they're
What's the difference
okay.
between a
Sorry.
treaty and a memorandum?
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over your interruption.
No. I want you. You're lying. You are being dishonest. You're being
I'm
disingenuous.
being
For sure.
lying.
Game.
I'm lying
Because there were
Okay.
not treaties. There were agreements that we will assist in.
Yeah, and
their
we are
defense.
assisting. We are assisting.
We are assisting. Yes, but that is not a treaty. A treaty has to be.
It's an agreement.
Actually,
we made an
yes, a treaty
agreement
has to
saying
be
that we were going
approved through
to
Congress.
Okay, you're just okay.
Yeah.
You can hold on for that as long as you want. We had an
True.
agreement saying that we would assist them. We don't have any troops on the ground fighting on the front lines.
I thought Europe was a king.
Dying in the war outside of
Maybe.
International Legion
Maybe that's
fighters,
true.
which is not within the official purview of the United States military. We have completely caved out the innards of the Russian military for, relatively speaking, compared to the 2.3 trillion we spent in Afghanistan and the over like almost 1 trillion that we spent in Iraq. A very small amount of money relative to the other wars that we've spent, and how that didn't succeed, and nearly as many military successes long term as we're probably going to see from a Ukrainian victory, and what we've seen on the ground in fighting what was supposed to be the
We should assist more, yeah.
planet. And we are assisting them by sending them a lot of our old equipment and some of our equipment through weapons manufacturers that we're paying for. To amount, when it comes to the military aspects of aid, about 38 to 39, maybe 40, because they just approved another 1.2 billion dollars worth of aid. We are assisting them. That is within the purview of the agreement we signed.
Yes, of the agreement. But previously you did say treaty.
The agreement. Can you please argue against the
Yeah.
point?
Jesus.
Yeah. So we are
Jesus
holding
Christ.
up to our agreement. Cool.
Oh man.
We are calling this aid. Actually does say that a good portion of this is not going to be paid back. Which how much debt do we actually know is going to be brought on the American people for supporting this? As far as I see it, as a proxy war, because we have had people politically painting Russia as an actual adversary of America. They haven't attacked America. I don't like Russia, but I can't say that we are legitimately like fighting them head on. No, but we are basically propping up other people to fight against them. That is a proxy war. That's what that is.
Okay,
If
so
you say that,
when people
if you're
say
saying
proxy
that puts it
war,
down.
when you say proxy war, when people say proxy war, the image they have in their head is that the United States is holding up another government to fight when it probably wouldn't want to otherwise, or wouldn't be fighting otherwise, and we are propping them up on our behalf. They're like our puppets. That's what it's talked about. That's why I feel like this term proxy war is unbelievably condescending, because the Ukrainians overwhelmingly want to fight back against the Russians, overwhelmingly want to push them out of their country. And so when I hear the word proxy war, it has this image of puppeteering Ukraine, when Ukraine would be fighting with or without us.
True.
Yeah. But
I mean,
they wouldn't be fighting as long as they have.
we're sending aid to a
If it
country
wasn't
that's
for the aid,
invaded.
they would be fighting as long as they have.
I don't know if
been able
that's.
to.
Oh, I don't know. They would probably
No,
still
I
be
think
fighting.
that's
I don't
a
know
fair
if they would have had as many military success, but they would still be fighting.
It could be guerrilla warfare for one.
Being even remotely successful without Western aid.
Most of the aid we sent, didn't come into effect until after the Battle of Kiev, when the Russians were beaten back from the capital and they had to retreat. So maybe they would have gotten further than they've gotten now. Almost certainly they probably would have. But the idea that the Ukrainians wouldn't still be fighting, I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think they'd be fighting with as much success as they have right now.
Okay.
If it wasn't for the use of the HIMARS equipment, the artillery that we've been sending over there, and look, one of the base that I work at, Dylan, is one of the major munitions hubs.
Right.
I see the planes come in and I can look at the itineraries. I know they're going to Ukraine. I see what they load on there. It was actually pretty interesting when they started bringing the artillery rounds through, because there's a artillery manufacturer here not too far away.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, wow, dude, that is a lot. That is a lot of arty. And I went over to.
It is factually not a proxy war. I know.
Okay, well, that's not for
This
us.
person is.
All right, well,
This person is factually an idiot.
you know, and it was kind of cool, because where I work is actually part of the logistics hub for the effort. But all at the same time, I'm just looking at how it has been framed in the media. The media
The
points
media.
at it all as aid, which kind of implies that there's no
The
repayment
infamous
and things like
media.
that. Now the
Most of it's
Lend-Lease,
aid. I don't know. I don't think all of
The
it. Some of it's
infamous
the Lend-Lease
media.
yeah, the Lend-Lease program. I'm gonna have to look into that, because I'm woefully uninformed on that. I don't know a whole lot about it,
Go figure.
but you know,
Go figure.
yeah, that's all I wanted to do, was just address it. I think the idea that Trump, what he wants to do now, if it will even be accepted by
to
either
be clear,
side.
what Trump wants to do is abandon Ukraine.
True. Yep.
That's what he's
Yes.
doing the groundwork for. It's to
Yep.
abandon Ukraine from American support, because he's not going to be able to negotiate the deal that either he
True.
has in his mind. If he doesn't want to just give up Ukraine, you give up Ukrainian territory, like he's indicated in other interviews, like in the Sean Hannity piece.
True.
Yeah,
So-
I think
to me,
he wants
that's
to try to
that's
negotiate.
feckless cowardice in my.
True.
I don't know if he
Based
capable
Dylan.
of being able to broker such a negotiation.
Based
I
Dylan.
would like to see a cessation of war. I think the statement, I'd like to see people stop dying. I think that was actually a good statement. I think it was
I mean,
poorly
it's
crafted.
it's extremely shallow.
True. It is extremely shallow. Well said.
You link that video of the Russian soldier surrendering to the drone, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
That
Not
video
gonna lie
is
on that.
incredible.
Yeah.
That video is incredible.
Yeah. Look, anytime
Right,
that I can
Desert
see warring
Storm.
factions not shoot each other, I think that's a good outcome.
What was his response? It was a response to a question about whether he supported Ukraine. So he
Yes.
said earlier during this war that Ukraine is being genocided. That's something he said in April, right at the start of the war. So that's before the vast majority of the war crimes were even done. So that was just at the start when we had Bucha and all these other things, the house-to-house quote-unquote cleansing operations in the Kiev Oblast. And a year later, after all the other war crimes have been committed, after all of this terrible stuff has been done, since then, he has tried to justify some of Russia's claims when it comes to, well, a lot of these people actually want to be part of Ukraine. He said that in the Sean Hannity interview. Want to be part of Russia. He said that in the Sean Hannity interview as well. And now he's saying he doesn't really want Ukraine to win. He won't answer if he wants Ukraine to win. He avoided the question.
He's changing his rhetoric. This is the first time we've seen politicians do that. And let's be honest, Trump is now a politician. He's not the outsider that a lot of the MAGA
He
people
was the
want to try
former
to paint him as.
president when he made the original
He's
statement.
an insider. He's an insider. He is a politician. So
But the idea of-
politicians change their mind.
I gotta
as
finish
other
my
people do too.
finish my point. The idea of, on one hand, acknowledging that a nation is being genocided,
Horrible
but
idiot.
then after acknowledging that a nation has been genocided, then going on to say you don't support that nation, that is fucking disgusting.
True.
That is gross. Because if I was to say something about like
True.
Poland's being genocided during World War II, in any other conflict, any other genocide that has occurred historically, and he used the word genocide, so I feel like the World War II example is on point if he's using
True, it is.
genocide. Whether I be talking about what's going on with the Rohingya Muslims or anywhere in the world where genocide's occurring, saying you don't support the people who are being genocided is gross. It's disgusting.
True.
And you're basically both sidesing it at that point. Both sidesing it with the genocider.
True.
He is trying to paint himself as a moderator. I don't know if he'll be able to accomplish.
You should
Why does
not.
the United States have to be that, by the way? I don't think America that's the best role we can
I
serve in this
agree.
conflict.
I agree. I think the best role we could play is none.
If,
Make America great first. Work on
Do
the
you
rest of it.
agree with the statement at all? Like,
God, thank goodness. No. No, he doesn't.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
never again is talking about the extermination of a race, of a group of people.
He was talking about genocide. It
True.
wasn't just-
Yep.
like,
It wasn't about just the Jewish people. What do you think that the Holocaust survivors say? Do not be indifferent. Like,
national identity can be
genocide.
clearly included in this.
No, national
well,
identity is not a thing.
National identity is a thing. Yes.
No, no, it's not a protected class, is it?
Whether or not it's a protected
not
class.
race.
If I
Well,
was to
so-
go out and say I want to kill all of the Ukrainians, I'm gonna go and I'm
oh yeah, yeah. Because when Jewish people say never again, they clearly mean in a legal sense. You fucking idiot. Oh yeah, for sure. Jewish people say never again. They for sure they mean they'll mean it in a legalistic sense. Oh my god, I can't.
kill them all because they're Ukrainian. Would that be a call for genocide?
Is this guy for real?
It could be. It could be.
Is this guy for real?
Depends on how people view that stuff, man.
Okay, so
But-
if he is saying it's genocide, that's his claim, and someone wants
yeah.
to live by the principle of never again, then the right thing to do is to stand with the people who he's claiming is being genocided.
What if he believes it's not a genocide?
But he said it was a genocide.
Maybe he's changed his mind.
True.
That's really-
Correct. When you start saying that, well, technically this is not genocide, I think you have already lost.
Don't
True.
talk to the guy.
Isn't that convenient?
But his rhetoric has changed. His rhetoric has changed.
Because
I
it's
mean,
only
it is
gotten
what it is.
worse since he's made that statement. So either when he made
Okay.
the statement, he had no clue what he was saying, he doesn't know what genocide is, and he was making uninformed statements on a war that he supposedly said he could have stopped while in office, or he's changed his mind, quote unquote, because he wants to, not be on the side that is against the Russians. He wants to just be away from the side that is being genocided because it's no longer as convenient to him.
I think at the beginning of the Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine,
True.
I think his entire
Happy
stance was
pizza
this would
time.
never happen if I was still president. Look at what a weakened, feckless president we have now. He was taking jabs.
Much better
He
than
really
Trump,
got two
that's
shits
for
about the
sure.
Ukrainian people. Currently, I
God.
think he is looking more along the ways of he wants the war to end. Okay, cool. I think last night though, on
By the
Twitter,
way,
you did have
Not cool.
you did have
Do
a
you
win.
think that the war wouldn't have happened if he was in office?
No.
I 100% believe it wouldn't have happened if he was in office.
Why?
Because Trump is such an unpredictable.
It would have happened.
individual with
It would have
some
happened.
of his international dealings that people were scared of what he would do. Supposedly, he told Putin, and I don't know if this is true. I don't even know if I believe it, but supposedly he told Putin that
Oh
if he
my
was to
God.
invade Ukraine, he would nuke Moscow. That is something that Trump has put out. Being said, that has not been confirmed. It could just be him puffing his chest out because he's Trump. That's what he does. But
Mhm.
it is that kind of rhetoric. It's that unpredictability that I
It would have
believe
happened.
legitimately prevents people from acting too far out of line while he was president. I mean, Joe Biden is
Mhm.
weak.
Is he?
I
Well, I mean, like Joe Biden actually is willing to stand up to the Russians. Trump wants to give them everything they want.
see,
Trump would have taken payment and looked in the other way. True.
Program. He said it on Sean Hannity's program. He said he would want to give them territory.
How
What do
long
you think
ago
that
was that?
translates to?
yeah, giving
He said,
away
he said like
territory.
5
How
months
much?
ago. Like 5 months ago.
Okay. And in 5 months, his opinion still could have changed. The amount of territory that he could say
No, I'm
ceded.
sorry. This is ridiculous. I can't hold Trump to account to anything he said because it's
You
possible.
can't
without...
hold
No,
anyone.
no, no.
Anyone can change their mind in a time frame. If you said,
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry. That's
if you
okay.
said something last night,
That's
it'd be a
just
different
stupid.
story.
Okay, aircraft sparking.
But
I
people can
believe
change their mind
I
over
believe
months.
every conservative should be locked up for being conservative.
Okay.
You can't
Go
critique
for
me
it.
for that because I could have changed my mind in the last 5 seconds. You never know.
No, dude. I told you if you said it
never
last
know.
night, that'd be a different thing. But if it's several months and your
Really?
opinion changes, that can
Okay,
happen.
so you've
yes.
never,
Things can happen
okay,
in
every
life.
time you critique somebody for saying something, do you say, maybe they've changed their opinion in the last 72 hours? No, that'd be silly. And we have no indication that he would have changed his mind. In fact, from the way his rhetoric is going, I am more confident that he would give up territory because he's literally taking the more and more anti-aid to Ukraine position and saying he would end the war in 24 hours. And the only way he could do that, from the Russian perspective, is to say the Russians get to keep their land. The Ukrainians won't agree to it, though, of course.
Well, so I think
Welcome to Coconut Island, Mr. Trump. Care for a coconut?
Any at all.
True.
the only statements that we have had on Ukraine in the past several months has been the statements he gave last night, and it sounds like he is trying to do a more neutral stance. Now, if he's willing to give up Ukraine land, I don't think that's really his place to make that decision. That's kind of up to Zelensky. But
That's
if he
by the
says
way,
he can
that's
end
part
it
of the
in
reason
24
why.
hours,
That's part of the reason why he thinks that he could have stopped the war, because he believes he could have just offered Russia more land, and then maybe they would have accepted it, and then therefore the war could have been avoided. Which is something we all know Zelensky would have never said, okay, you can have the rest of Donetsk, you can have the rest of Luhansk. That was never going to happen.
True.
I think actually
I think
we
actually,
can-
you
we
don't
can
think.
just spitball. If Trump remained in office, if he did a second term, and Putin's like, hey, we want a land bridge access to Crimea. I think a viable compromise would have been that we'll allow you to have a connecting railway to Crimea.
Ridiculous.
Period. No cessation of land, just open rails for logistical purposes to Crimea, without having to go over water.
But I think
Ridiculous. That was literally one of the demands of Nazi Germany towards Poland right before World War II. And guess what? Poland refused. Nazi Germany literally demanded that Poland build a neutral highway going from Germany to the free city of Gdańsk, because at that time Gdańsk was not a Polish city. It was actually an autonomous free city not belonging to any country. So this is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
that comes from your view that this war is like centered around that, but this war isn't centered around, like, that's just like one small aspect of it. That doesn't deal with the issue of the Ukrainian government being against the Russian strategic interests. That doesn't deal with the issue of Donetsk. It doesn't deal with the issue of Luhansk. That doesn't deal with NATO membership. Doesn't deal with a million other issues that the Russians use to justify their invasion of Ukraine. What would happen is that concession would be made, and then it'd be like, okay, and then they would just invade maybe a year later if they.
That is the realistic scenario, yeah.
Yeah, the NATO membership thing.
Also, didn't they already have? They already had railways into Crimea.
Yes, but they didn't have control over those railways.
Yes, they did.
And it's just no.
Over the Kerch Bridge, they had a railway directly into Crimea.
No. That's over water. That's not a land bridge.
Why does that not count?
Because it's too vulnerable. From a strategic position, that is too vulnerable.
Wait. So a railway over that bridge is less vulnerable than a railway directly through Ukrainian territory?
Yes.
How? The Ukrainians
it's more vulnerable.
It'd be much easier for the Ukrainians to destroy the railway that is literally in their land that they control than the bridge that is not in their control.
Well, so right now they are probably building railway under the occupied lands in the Crimea because they intend to keep that land.
Whether they can do that is another story.
Whether they could do that, that's another story altogether. But I believe that was their initial intentions, and a lot of that has to stem back to also the pipeline issues going through Ukraine into Europe.
What a guy!
the NATO,
What a
the whole
dude.
NATO
What a dude,
membership.
bro.
That was an agreement formed when the Soviet Empire fell, and well, America and NATO has gone against that by allowing Poland and all these other groups, other countries to join NATO.
Yeah,
So
because
you can't
otherwise,
go against?
inevitability. We went against an agreement with the Soviet Union.
Which agreement was that?
Not the Russian Union. That
the
would,
Russian Union.
Except
What's the
for some
what?
states
The
of
Russian
NATO.
Union?
There was
When
to
did
have
we
the-
agree to
the
that?
buffer zone.
You mean Federation, not
It
Union?
was what?
What is the
99
Russian Union?
when that was made? I'd have to look that up.
I
to be
think we had
100%
already
sure.
accepted former Soviet states by 99.
Or it may have been earlier, 96, 97, right after the fall.
I mean, East Germany was a
remember-
former Soviet state, and when they
The
combined,
USSR fell in
Unified
91,
Germany,
not
reunified, that's a
97.
different animal. That's not putting Belarus in NATO. That's not putting Poland in NATO. And Belarus isn't in NATO, but for the Eastern Germany was Eastern Germany. It was never actually part of the USSR.
so
It was a separate country.
I want to move back to one last because I got to go because it's very early and I haven't gotten
Doesn't matter.
to do demining in like 2 hours.
Poland also wasn't technically speaking a part of the USSR. It doesn't matter. Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
So you said
give
that
up.
one of the things, or the
I
major
give up
thing
on
that
this
seems to
person.
be the thing that would dissuade Putin from invading would be what would Trump do. So I have no reason to believe that if Putin was to invade Ukraine, definitely since Trump is now saying on the international stage and politically that we are the closest to nuclear war and that's why we need to bring peace and all of this stuff. If he is that concerned about nuclear war right now, and we know his administration and his staff wouldn't have let him do it, he would not have nuked Moscow if Russia invaded Ukraine. And considering
no.
how
I think that was
much
him pounding his chest.
Trump
I don't
bluffs,
believe he would do
how
that.
much he pounds his chest, I think the Russians would make the calculation. Of course, Trump would actually not nuke us if we invaded
True.
Ukraine. The entirety of Russia's strategy was based on a quick victory. That's why their logistics fell through. That's why everything went awry so quickly, is because when they found the Ukrainians, could shoot back at them, they ran into a lot of road bumps. So, but their original plan was a quick victory, so quick that the West couldn't respond. And if it was quick, then the West wouldn't have been able to, because all the aid that has been like really game changing from the West has come in the later part of the war. The last 6 to 8 months of it has been when the larger scale amount of aids when it comes to the M777 howitzers and all the shells, all that stuff that came later. And so if they're still betting on a quick victory under a Trump or a Biden administration, that strategy wouldn't have changed. Then they wouldn't even need to worry about Trump's response.
True.
They think they're going to win quickly, unless Trump had some other leverage that I don't know about that could have dissuaded them from invading.
And what was it, last night? Trump even said that they both have secrets that they don't want out and stuff like that. I don't know if that's him saying, "Hey, I would release something." Some information on either to make them look bad, to bring them to the negotiating table, or anything stupid like that.
That's just speculation.
Yeah. I don't know that, but it did sound like a threat, a threat to both of the leaders. Look, as far as it's really all concerned, it doesn't really matter, because until 2025, when we have the actual winner of the election inaugurated, be it Biden or some other Democratic candidate, or be it Trump or some other Republican candidate who wins, it really doesn't matter. It's all speculation. But I will tell you one thing: you did have a major win last night on Twitter, at least as far as I see it. Your tweet last night saying there is no man on earth who thinks more in terms of winning and losing than Donald Trump.
Yeah, when he said that, I don't think of terms of winning and losing, I'm like, bullshit, get out of here.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard come out of Trump's mouth, because he has said on many times, we'll be winning so much, you'll be tired of winning. No, all of his speeches from 2016 through his presidency was actually framed in the terms of winning and losing. That was your best analysis of the night that I felt, and it was based I just think you were just a little off because of the what he was projected as his intention, and you're like, oh, this is cowardly.
I think dodging the questions was cowardly. I think him, changing with the wind was cowardly when it comes to the word of genocide. I think if you believe a genocide's going on, standing with the people being genocide is cowardly. And I also believe fundamentally just the position that he wants to move America into after we've signed this agreement is also cowardly. I believe every level of his position is cowardly.
True.
I hear you. So I look at it as my point of view is I think that the invasion that Russia did on Ukraine is wrong. It shouldn't happen. I would like Russia to just leave. But I know what reality is. War fucking sucks. Those who want to continue want this fight to continue on, I suggest you go participate in it one way or another. Dylan is doing that. He is living his values. You should support him on that. Make sure to donate to this man. Twitch is fucking asshole because CNN is asshole for actually causing that. Because I guarantee
Warner Bros. Apparently.
Yeah, they can all eat a whole bag of dicks, and not in a fun way.
What happened?
Definitely homophobic way.
What happened with?
In a homophobic way.
Yes, yeah.
What happened with Twitch?
Bad, right? Because they'd be homophobes. You'd be like, oh, well, eat a bag of dicks wouldn't be good. Yes, I want you to suffer. Free.
What happened with Twitch?
Told us eat a bag of dicks. Then what? In a homophobic way, wouldn't the person be telling them to eat a bag of dicks be the homophobic one because they're the ones implying that eating a bag of dicks is bad?
Well, so it'd be more along the lines of implying the person eating said bag of dicks is a homophobe, and eating a bag of dicks would be gay. Therefore, that would make them gay, and that would make them bad in their mind. It's more about the internal. Or you just accidentally
called yourself a homophobe.
Whatever. I don't care. Look, I don't care if people are gay. Live your fucking life. It's not my problem. If it doesn't affect me, it doesn't bother me. So that's a true based liberal stance as far as sexuality. But no, man, you're doing good work. I'm proud of you. You're doing well. Keep it up. I look forward to seeing more stuff from Ukraine. I want to see some of that live footage, man. It's good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I should be releasing some of the stuff soon. I got a bunch of pieces in the work. I got an interview with somebody who's been fighting Wagner and Bakhmut.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good interview. I've got a piece where I was embedded with a priest who leads a battalion of like 80 people. Really interesting guy. And of course, I've got all this footage from the minefields. I've got a big piece I'm working on from the Rage Against the War Machine rally. I went there, I filmed there. And so I wanted to show some of the footage I got there and a lot of my beliefs about how Russian propaganda operates in the United States, how they fund Russian propaganda, and how
I remember that.
Subservient to it, how people fall into these rabbit holes. I got a lot of stuff in the works.
Very nice. Very nice. Very exciting.
Besides actively being shelled, because being actively shelled is fucking terrifying. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Don't want to repeat it. With working with these ID groups, what has been the most nerve-wracking thing that you have witnessed firsthand and or experienced?
So besides the minefields and besides the getting shelled,
well, the shelling. See, I think shelling is a little bit more nerve-wracking than the minefield, because at least with a minefield, you have some control in detection if you know how to, with the bayonets and probing for finding. But I think that's a little less nerve-wracking, but still nerve-wracking as hell. Would a minefield be more nerve-wracking?
Getting chased by a Russian drone was the worst. That was the worst feeling in the world.
Dude, and the use of civilian drones being modified to deliver
we thought it was a suicide drone. That's what made it even worse.
Yeah. Dude, because those things are fucking terrifying, man.
There's nothing where do you run? It's like
yeah. When I was deploying and doing that stuff, we had drones, but we didn't have drones to the amount that's being used now in the Ukrainian theater. And no, I didn't even think about that, Dylan. That's an awesome point.
That was my first video ever released on the ground here. Was getting chased by a Russian drone.
So you sleeping all right and everything else, though?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Don't worry about it.
All right, man. Well, look, got to do a buddy check. Look, man, you stay safe. Thanks for the conversation. YouTube audience, man, y'all start screaming. Y'all start screaming at Amazon. Fuck those guys. He needs to get back on Twitch. That's where
What
a
happened
lot of
with
his
Amazon?
following comes from. And
Was
look,
Dylan banned on Twitch?
he's one of the guys that actually make Twitch Paul good.
Thanks,
So,
man. Well, you have a good one. Okay, I gotta go sleep. I gotta go sleep.
Take care, brother.
Take care.
Be
See you
safe.
later. Bye bye.
Gee, was Dylan banned on Twitch? Well, if you've enjoyed that, then like, subscribe, hit the button, do all that nice stuff, and I'm gonna see you soon. You finished the video. We've been streaming for like how long? 13 hours. I'm gonna be seeing you soon, okay? I'm gonna be seeing you soon. Alright? We're gonna be continuing our research. We're gonna be continuing doing things, alright? So, thank you for coming. As always, I hope to see you again soon. I'll be trying to facilitate some conversations. It's true, Bill Partially. I hope to see you soon. I'll be facilitating more stuff. Bye-bye. It's been fun, and I will be seeing you soon. Good morning or night. And stream. Oh, I'm gonna write the thing. Love and solidarity. Heart. Here. And love. And solidarity. Heart. All right.